Tzu Chi volunteers greet on-duty staff and patients in hospital in China during Lunar New Year. Beware of consuming excessive high-sodium food as it may pose health risks to your body. Welcome to DaAi Headline. I'm Maggie Tsai. Thank you for joining us. Family reunion is the most important tradition of Lunar New Year, but many medical professionals and patients in the hospital are not able to go home. In Fudan City Hospital, China, the yearly greeting tradition brought them some warm and festive vibes as people in the hospital welcomed the new year with a newborn baby. Nurses received a whole bag of oranges which symbolized luck and fortune, meaning they've also received wholehearted blessings. Medical professionals have no breaks during the Lunar New Year, hence Fudan City Hospital management personnel and Tzu Chi volunteers come to greet them.
I'm very touched. Yes, I am overwhelmed with joy and touching feelings.
We spent a long time working in the hospital room for years, and we know that many patients wanted to go home during Lunar New Year, but many of them are not allowed to. So I feel it's very meaningful to send our blessings to them at this time.
Volunteers prepare red carnations and gift bags of wisdom and blessing, and this little boy, Gao Yu, joined his mother to help put them together.
I want to give them some warmth, and I feel very happy.
On the first day of Lunar New Year, we mostly just eat and play, but today we brought him here to do something meaningful and great.
Volunteers and hospital management personnel visit patients and their families floor by floor. And here in the obstetrics and gynecology room, the air is filled with joy not only for the New Year festival, but also welcoming a newborn life.
Whether the patient or their families, whenever we greet them, I saw their face showing the kind of happiness that is very cheerful, very sincere and pure. I feel very relieved.
This New Year visit has been a tradition for 15 years in Fudan City Hospital, so that the medical team and patients who cannot go home can feel the warmth and festive surroundings in the hospital. A remote township in West Java, Indonesia, leaves many people in distress, yet they have never received help from any charity organizations. Tzu Chi volunteers were the first to reach out as they recently conducted a New Year supply distribution for local residents and helped them to alleviate the financial strain on their families.
Hanging the red New Year banner, Indonesia Tzu Chi volunteers are distributing New Year supplies in impoverished regions of West Java's Bekasi.
This village is less developed, and many residents live in hardship.
Most of the villagers work in farming or stock raising industry, and they've never received help from charity organizations. This is the first aid distribution in the area.
I'm glad they held this event. It helps alleviate the financial strain on my family and allows me to buy clothes for my children.
The residents, both young and old, happily wait in line. The volunteers then give out more than 200 aid supplies. At the occasion, the volunteers noticed the unusual condition of an elderly woman.
We
noticed that the woman stood there waiting. Then we found out she is among the villagers who do not celebrate Lunar New Year. After a checkup, we found out that there is a tumor inside her bloated stomach.
The volunteers decided to report this case and continue to offer needed assistance. They hope to plant the seeds of love in the hearts of the local people in this township.
There were natural disasters all over the world in 2017, including a massive earthquake in Mexico, the flood in Ecuador, and the hurricane in the United States. U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers have put efforts into disaster relief all year long. Aid distributions to different places have inspired many people to join as volunteers to spread the seed of goodness further. Looking back to the major news incidents internationally on 2017, natural disasters are all over the map. In the United States, the water comes after the fire and causes more destruction to the land, making it not a peaceful year. There were tears, sadness, helpless feelings, but never a moment without hopes. Here in Ecuador, 500 local residents are cleaning Santa Ana Secondary School to help them during disaster relief after the flood. This is not a miracle, but the power of faith. The first Tzu Chi volunteer, Jennifer, is glad that she took the first step.
When I reported back to Taiwan, Martin said, I need you to go back, I need you to really ask questions, I really need you to take pictures, I need you to really do a more in-depth evaluation so we can make a decision where if we need to go or not. I felt alone and I felt scared. I'm really nobody knows me, so I was afraid nobody's gonna open their doors to me. Why? Who am I?
On the phone, she asked me when I would go over there. She said she could not stand it anymore. At that moment, I immediately changed my mind. I said I was going over there right now.
The power to help each other is impressive. After Hurricane Harvey struck the southern part of Texas in the United States, they would never have believed that the most touching donation is from Ecuador. Rockport City has more than 30% of buildings damaged after the hurricane. Mayor Charles Wax has never thought of that this time he's being helped by Taiwanese, whom he has reached out his hand to after the earthquake 20 years ago.
I was in Taiwan right after the earthquake.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
September. That's in 1999.
Yes, sir. I was
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
We're bringing relief to you.
I just want to say thank you.
The firefighters and policemen on the rescue team are all surprised that they are the first recipients of supplies from Tzu Chi.
And so I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. 谢谢，谢谢，谢谢。
Mesa is a district where it's dangerous and purposefully forgotten. People in this dark corner don't expect anyone to come to help them.
Grateful. I'm very grateful that you came down to try to make some assistance here. And I'm just happy. And these are tears of joy. They're not tears of sadness.
When no one cared about them, we entered their community to give them hugs and tell them that everything will be fine.
It's okay. It's okay. Wait.
The compassion and great love are the power that keeps Tzu Chi volunteers going. In Mexico City, there were no volunteers nor did any Chinese immigrant to help, but Tzu Chi volunteers still go into the chaotic and devastated area a week after the massive earthquake.
I come from United States.
Yes.
And then my headquarters in Taiwan.
Okay.
And Tzu Chi, is an organization help a lot of disaster. I'm trying to talk to the commander here. Okay. How can we do the relief work?
Finding ways to reconstruct the city from scratch, they brought local volunteers to visit each household and organize a distribution name list. After 3 months, the 10th aid distributions and free clinic were held in the church Tzu Chi built for local people.
I believe that Tzu Chi left many seeds of hope and seeds of love. They've taught us how to smile. This is just the beginning.
This is the most beautiful beginning of a friendship and the most perfect ending for a disaster-filled 2017. Electricity is the lifeblood of our daily life. 80% of Taiwan's total power is from coal and natural gas-fired power plants. However, a high rate of electricity were lost during the power transmission. Here is our in-depth report on how power generation can be distributed instead of centralized to avoid future disasters.
Here's a normal household hair dryer. Let's measure the electromagnetic field, which is around 40 to 50 milligauss. And now we measure this induction cooker, which is around 800 to 900 milligauss. Here we are at the Zhongliao substation, standing next to a number of high voltage electrical towers as we measure the electromagnetic field. find it to be more than 50 milligauss. Although the amount of electromagnetic field in these substations is lower than the mandated safe level, is long-term exposure to high electromagnetic fields hazardous to one's health?
A lot of research reports find that high voltage towers can cause some forms of leukemia. I think these electric towers are really something that nobody wants in their neighborhood.
Everyone wants to use electricity, though no one wants to live near power plants and electrical towers, which means that such equipment is often moved to the coast and the mountains, which are sparsely populated areas. Thermal power plants and nuclear power plants can produce up to 345 kilovolts.
With long-distance delivery of power, there will be some losses, as the electricity sent out from the power plant needs to be higher to limit this loss.
Power plants produce 345 kilovolt ultra-high pressure, which is transported to EHV substations, which step it down to 161 kilovolts before sending to a primary substation, which once again reduces it to 69 kilovolts, which can be used by science parks, high-speed rail, and MRT stations. However, household use, it must go through a secondary substation to step down to 22 or 11 kilovolts. Finally, through the regional power grid, local transformers on utility poles step it down to 0.22 or 0.11 kilovolts for household appliances. Electricity is effortlessly at our fingertips, but in the background, there's a large amount of manpower as well as safety checks needed for this hard-earned resource. The Zhongliao EHV substation is located in the heart of Taiwan's power grid, bringing excess power from the southern and central part of the country to the north. Power development projects in the north have encountered numerous difficulties, leading to an imbalance with high power needing to develop facilities in central and southern areas. The north lacks some 0.55 megawatt per day. The central and southern areas produce in excess of 2.97, 1.82 megawatt a day, so this surplus power makes up for deficiencies in the north.
The entire Taiwan's power grid has to be linked together to mutually support each other.
Taichung Thermal Power Plant has the highest carbon emissions in the world. The Formosa Mailiao plant has the 6th largest carbon emissions, and they are all located in central Taiwan.
In central Taiwan, the citizens bear a lot of the pollution from these thermal power plants, and we send this power north, but our electrical fees are the same, as many believe this isn't just.
Power generation is not evenly distributed. Power generation in eastern Taiwan has been in short supply in recent years, as Taipower has even had to send power from the west to the east. Before the 9/21 earthquake, Taiwan from south to north had only two 345 kilovolt UHV lines. At the time of the strong earthquake, both lines were damaged, causing a power outage throughout Taiwan. As a result, after the disaster, a third UHV line was added.
With the third UHV line, we have reduced worry about electrical power supply as well as disaster prevention.
However, accidents at power plants have left the grid with no power, meaning these precautions may have been done in vain.
Some chemical plants have boilers, and if there's a power outage, there's a danger of explosion. Our hospital surgery departments need to be protected from blackouts. Our planning helps prevent this from happening, as we try to prevent these temporary power outages.
Defense agencies, hospitals, and industrial parks are protected by temporary shortages because of a Taipower dispatching center. However, how do normal factories protect themselves in the event of a sudden power outage? This is leading machine tool manufacturer Sihong Industrial, with the factory covering an area of more than 48,000 square meters. And you can see there are 170 employees working daily on this production line. However, once they face a power outage, all the work stops.
Our company's backup power is actually only good for emergency lighting. And on the production side, there is no way to deal with no power. The power outage will have a big impact on production.
With industry worried about power shortages, which affect the production line, some manufacturers are turning to green power generation.
This parking garage is about 13,500 square meters, so our company is also actively evaluating if it is possible to set up solar power. We are also wondering if it could be a help in providing the electricity that we use in the factory.
Extreme climate, in fact, makes the situation more serious. Also, our soil and water conservation in Taiwan is not ideal. So in the future, we can expect more electric towers to collapse. According to environmental groups' opinion, in the future, we believe Taiwan should develop decentralized power grid.
At present, Taiwan is still a centralized power transmission and distribution network. In the event of human negligence or natural disasters, a domino effect of power outages could occur. Given this risk, the government should establish a decentralized power grid to spread this risk to private and public agencies to avoid.
Food is essential to celebrate Lunar New Year, but beware of excessive sodium intake that may pose health risks, especially for patients with kidney problems, heart diseases, and cirrhosis. Here are some tips to avoid unhealthy food and balance the sodium in our diets. To celebrate Lunar New Year, food is what connects family and friends. However, it's easy to consume excessive sodium without knowing it. Food like herbal cuisine, hot pot broth, marinated vegetables, and processed meat are all in the high sodium category, as well as some healthy snacks like seaweed, preserved fruits, and nuts.
坚果本身吃起来比较干涩。
Nuts itself taste a bit dry, so normally people season it with salt and other artificial flavors, which leads to higher sodium amount. It's better to choose unseasoned nuts that are baked with low temperature and limit the daily intake within a spoon so it won't be excessive.
According to Ministry of Health and Welfare, daily sodium consumption should be limited under 2,400 milligram. Even the cracker that tastes not salty has about 400 milligram of sodium per 100 gram. Dry bean curds and watermelon seeds have more than 800 milligrams of sodium. Squid sheds and beef jerky even got more than 1,000 milligrams. To decrease sodium intake, avoid processed foods, lessen the use of salt, blanch the food with boiled water, as well as drink more water and consume high potassium food.
每人每天至少要摄取。
Everyone should drink at least 2,000 to 2,500 milliliters of water every day. Also, high potassium food can remove the excessive sodium and balance the water in our body. High potassium food includes fruits like all kinds of melon, tomato, and kiwi, as well as vegetables.
The nutritionist also recommends using vegetable broth instead of marrow broth and avoiding repeating heat up for leftovers so that one can stay away from excessive sodium intake that can pose health risks to kidney, heart, and blood vessels. Taiwan is entering into an aging society as elderly account for 13.5% of the total population in the country. According to the statistic, there are 2.3 million people who need to both work and take care of the elders with dementia and disabilities. It was estimated that more than half of them tends to be depressed, while 20% are diagnosed with depressions. Let's see what's the solution for families to remain intact.
来，你要等开，起来再个请。
I was very worried that my mother might leave us, so I talked to my sister about this, and we decided to put aside our work to take care of her at this time.
在妈妈这段时间，我们把所有的工作暂时先放下。
Giving up work leads many to face stiff economic pressure, as well as the burden for caring for an elderly person.
好，你先困一下。好好。等下再开先哭。24小时几乎都要陪在妈妈身边。
I work around the clock caring for my mother, taking her to the toilet. One time she got up and fell, and I also fell as we both cried while she lied on the ground.
她跌倒，然后我要去扶她，我自己也跌倒，然后我们两个就都跌在地上哭。
A study found that 87% of family caregivers experience worsening mental issues, with some 65% feeling depressed, with 20% diagnosed with depression. Because these children are watching their parents suffer, their mood swings lower. When dawn comes, this mother and daughter decide to visit an elder daycare facility.
Grandma Biyu first came to us in a wheelchair.
100块6元。
尽能上来。
复健团队
Our rehabilitation team and our nutritionists and social workers and medical care technicians all form a good team to care of people.
This grandma has since left the wheelchair, and though she walks with a stagger, she's able to do this as long as someone supports her.
She gets more motivation when she comes here because there are other elders and workers who inspire her and lead her as her physical strength is much better than before.
In Taiwan, there are a total of 760,000 people suffering from dementia, frail health, or disabilities. Some 55% of these patients are cared for by their families, while 30% are looked after by foreign caregivers, and only 15% utilize the government's long-term care resources. This means that there should be little delay in promoting more daycare centers.
If they can find friends in the daycare center as well as those who understand their difficulties, these social resources can help ward against the caregiver becoming mentally and physically unhealthy.
Hello， 你们跟阿祖下课啊？阿祖下课了，就给阿祖。太多要帮他解决。
For generations living together, a daughter, son-in-law, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren all enjoying dinner.
Coming back in the evening and seeing grandchildren makes me very happy.
我曾经听过正言法师他说。
I have heard of Master Zheng Yan say the best nursing home is at home. If she can go to the daycare center in the day and at night come back to us, I think this is the best arrangement for mom, as it also gives us a little rest.
Being at home is definitely the best place for elders, but daycare centers can be like a good neighbor, providing the warmth and compassion in the day, while at night these elders can go home and enjoy a good sleep.
A group of Tzu Chi volunteers from Taichung, Taiwan started a quilt making class 8 years ago. The materials are recycled fabric, and the class helps them to calm their minds.
Sewing with needles and threads, the products include handbags, reusable bags, caps, and scarves. Most of the materials are recycled materials.
These are recycled resources, including these beads.
This quilting class has been established for more than 8 years. Volunteer Lo Chunmi said that at the beginning, everyone was interested in sewing. After learning the skill for a while, they thought they could share their work with others.
When you are doing quilting, you may concentrate very much on your work. After completing the beautiful product, you may feel your heart is as beautiful as it, which helps cleanse your mind.
Everyone here is like a family. Everyone works together to complete the work. It's very warm. Every time when there's any work or creative ideas, we all share with each other.
The products are not only widely accepted, but also used to support DaAi TV.
Besides trinkets, we also have Master Zheng Yan's card featuring with Jingzi aphorisms to be given to medical professionals.
While doing quilting mindfully, one can wash away their worries through the sewing process.
As the public's awareness for environmental protection has improved, in the end of our program, volunteers in Klang Recycling Station, Malaysia, teaches the public how to reuse recyclable materials. And thank you for joining us. Goodbye.